One. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome
Recording
to
in
the
progress.
City of Canby Planning Commission meeting. We will get started with our flag salute. If you'll all stand with me, please. Gentlemen, if you'll remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, gentlemen, start your engines. No, wait a minute, that's a different thing. All right, I want to welcome you all here this evening. We've got some business we need to take care of before we get into our public hearings. This is the City of Canby Planning Commission meeting for April 27th, 2026. You get to listen to me tonight. Our illustrious chairman is out of town on business tonight. And so when he's gone, you get me. And that's the way that is. And we want to welcome everybody, those of you who are in the room, those of you who are online. And we've got a couple of things we need to take care of. First of all, we've got a set of draft meetings for February 10th, 2025. And that is going to be we need to get those things taken care of. So we will take let's see, we had Ewart, Jarosh, Llewellyn, and Ellison. Ellison is no longer with us, so it's just Jarosh and I that were in on that meeting.
I would suggest pushing that to the next May 11.
Okay.
And then the other set, though, there are enough commissioners that were there for December 8th.
So on that February 10th, we're going to push that on to the next meeting. We'll pass that one on by. The next one we have is for December 8th. We had myself, Hutchinson, McCarthy, Llewellyn, and Driscoll. If anyone has any modifications, changes, or we can have a motion to either accept or deny.
I move that we accept.
And I will second that. All those in favor, second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. And so we will put those to bed. Those minutes are accepted. And we have taken care of those. February will move on. December has been accepted. Citizen input on non-agenda items. Do we have any citizens in the audience that would like to bring anything to us that is not on the agenda tonight? I see no one rushing the microphone, so we will move on. We have no old business to take care of, and we have no new business at this time to take care of. So that is going to push us right to our public hearing, which is what I think most everyone is here to hear tonight. And so we were going to go into that. So what we are going to hear to testify, as I said just before we got started, to testify during a public hearing, please fill out a testimony/comment card and hand it to our recording secretary. If you would like to speak at the public hearing, if moving forward, this would be for future reference. If you want to speak during a Zoom meeting, or if you want to speak during the Zoom access, you would need to do that and have it to the clerk prior to 3 p.m. Before the meeting, before the next meeting. So that was just for future reference if you want to do that. You need to have your name and your phone number and so on. So you can reach the Planning Commission office and talk to them about that if you want to do that in a Zoom format. Tonight, we are going to be hearing DR 25-03 and CUP 25-02. DR stands for Design and Review, and CUP stands for Conditional Use Permit. And so getting into that, we are going to read our public hearing format. I'm a little rusty at this, so you guys are going to get to bear with me on it. Tonight, there is a matter before the hearing body that requires a public hearing. All questions must be directed through the chair, which is myself this evening. Any evidence to be considered must be submitted to the hearing body for public access. All written testimony to be received for both and for and against shall be summarized by staff and presented briefly to the hearing body during the staff report. Testimony and evidence must be directed toward the applicable review criteria contained in the staff report and the comprehensive plan or other land use regulations which the person believes to apply to this decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision makers and the parties the opportunity to respond to the issues may preclude appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Conflict of interest. At this time, I would ask that any member of the hearing body who has a conflict of interest, please indicate the nature and the extent of the conflict and whether you intend to participate or abstain from the hearing of the present matter.
No.
No conflict.
No conflict.
I also have no conflict. Does anyone have any question for any members of the Planning Commission? Seeing none, we will go to ex parte contact. Also, if any member of the hearing body has had any ex parte contact with anyone prior to this hearing, including a visit to the site, please declare the nature and the extent of such contact at this time.
No contact.
No contact, no specific visit, but I drive past the site frequently.
Same here. I drive past the site multiple times a day, but no conflict.
I have had no contact. I also drive by the site daily. So anybody have any comments to the commissioners? Seeing none, we will move on. Does any member of the audience have any questions for any commissioners regarding ex parte contact or conflict of interest? Seeing none, the public hearing will be conducted as follows. First, we will have the staff report. That will take approximately 5 minutes. We will have questions, if any, by the hearing body or the staff. The chair will open the public hearing for testimony. We will first hear the applicant, which will be about 20 minutes. The proponents will be about 3 minutes each. The opponents will be about 3 minutes each. Then we will have rebuttal by the applicant of approximately 10 minutes. And then the chair will close the public hearing. I might say at this time that if there are the opponents or the proponents, if you have one person that would like to speak for a group of you, you can add your time together so you can speak. Like if you have one person that wants to speak for a group of you, you can add your minutes together and speak for a longer period of time. We just ask you to kind of keep that corralled as if you can, okay? So when the chair closes the public hearing, then we will have questions, if any, by the hearing body. And then we will have discussion by the hearing body. Once that is done, a decision shall be made by the hearing body. At the close of the hearing, or the matter will be or we will have excuse me, let me redo that. A decision shall be made by the hearing body at the close of the hearing, or the matter will be continued to a date certain in the future. This will be the only notice of that date you will receive. Does anyone have any questions of the process? Great, okay. We will then go on to Brianna. Please enlighten us on our
All right,
meeting this evening.
here we go. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Ewert. You did a wonderful job. My name is Brianna. I'm an associate planner for the City of Canby, and tonight I am presenting the Senior Living and Memory Care Design Review and Conditional Use Review. There we go. Okay. All right, so we'll start off with the existing conditions of the site. You can see here in the image, it is in the southeast corner of South Ivy Street and Southeast 13th Avenue, address 1300 South Ivy Street. It's approximately 2.6 acres. It has 2 existing unimproved driveways. Currently, it has a house and a storage structure and cute little garden. It has existing curbs, but no sidewalks. The intersection itself is improved with ADA facilities, but either frontage, it has not been improved yet. This was previously designated as a special area. That was removed in 2019, so it no longer applies, but we have folks who know the history of Canby, so I did want to mention that. A little more context here on the aerial image. You can see to the north, we have single-family residential across Ivy. We have the Canby Swim Center and Ackerman Center directly north. We have some specialty retail, I'll go ahead and call it, directly south of it. And we also have single-family residential to the south and a senior/assisted living campus across Ivy to the south. Here's the zoning. It's the same sort of aerial we're looking at here, overlaid with our zoning map. It's zoned R1, low-density residential, and is surrounded by R1 and R1.5, which is medium-density residential. And it is, again, adjacent to a senior living campus zoned R1 with a CUP for their use as well. The proposed project is a 2-story, 56,500 square foot senior care facility. It will have 80 assisted living beds and 22 memory care beds for a total of 102. There will be 54 parking spaces for the facility, including ADA van spaces. There are 4 independent living duplexes also planned for the site at a future time, but you will be sort of approving their general footprint if you do go ahead and approve this. So we'll talk about those in a little less detail, but they are proposed for the site in the future. And that's 8 units and 2 parking spaces per unit there. Here is a site plan of the site. Just to orient us again, Ivy Street and 13th Avenue here at the northwest corner is the intersection of those 2 streets. You can see the primary facility is broken up into sort of the more general senior care, and then the memory care wing is to the south. The future duplex building envelopes are also shown. Associated parking, fire truck turnaround in the southeast corner. 10-foot right-of-way dedication on Southeast 13th to accommodate, thank you, to accommodate the improvements there. And we will dig into the specifics on the site plan more as I go through my presentation. So the applications, again, are a conditional use for specifically a nursing home use in the R1 zone. It's a bit of an antiquated term, but that is the overall use that we're looking at here as senior living care. And then the design review type 3, and that applies to new structures, parking reduction considerations, and access spacing. Here are the chapters of the development code that apply to the proposal. Parking, zoning, signs, lighting, access, design review, and conditional uses. So first we'll start with the traffic analysis. The analysis at the intersection was evaluated with the current proposal using a 5-year horizon. So looking out into operations through 2031. So that assumes 5 years of background growth beyond the expected year of occupancy, which we anticipate to be this year, if not very early next year, but we'll see. So just to kind of clarify what those scenarios are for the study, the first would be a 2031 no-build scenario. So those are traffic volumes that are existing plus the background growth over that 5-year period. 2031 build scenario are those two factors plus the traffic associated with the proposed use. The intersection is expected to continue to meet the mobility target during the peak hours in 2031, with the added project traffic estimated to increase the VC ratio by 1% during peak hours. What is that? Volume to capacity ratio measures intersection sufficiency by dividing actual traffic demand by maximum sustainable capacity. Ratios below 0.85 or 85% indicate adequate capacity, while values approaching 1 signify congested traffic. And the table here, pulled directly from the traffic study, shows that 1% increase of the volume to capacity ratio were this to be approved. So for the 2031 no build scenario, you're looking at a VC of 0.61. If this were approved and were operational for the next 5 years, you'd be looking at a VC ratio of 0.62. Those ratios equate to a level of service B, which means stable flow light traffic according to the traffic engineers. So here are just more of the raw trip numbers, also included in the traffic analysis. AM peak 19 trips, PM peak 25, weekday total 282. Off-street parking. I'm going to approach this at a high level and let the applicant explain their request. They know their business better than I do. They have requested an exception to the parking standards based on industry experience and specific staffing numbers. The residents of the facility, so that 102 beds, none of those folks will be driving or have cars stored on the site. Parking demand will be from staff, visitors, and support services, and explained more in depth in the staff report. We do support their parking modification request. Off-street loading. You can see on this small table here the square feet and number of berths for loading required for commercial and industrial uses. So 2 loading berths would be required by standard given their square footage at 56.5, but the use category for residential facility doesn't neatly fall into commercial or industrial. The site plan shows 1 loading berth that is slightly wider than a commercial use and meets the industrial use length. So they've kind of designed their own loading berth that they believe will be sufficient for their residential facility use. Just some things to point out about the use. Deliveries would consist of items used at the site. There won't be any retail sales, industrial activity. So applicant requests approval of this deviation from the loading berth standard as well, and staff does support that request. For the R1 development standards, nursing homes, again, are listed as a conditional use in the R1 zone. So that's where you come in, approved by Planning Commission for conditional uses. This chart shows the dimensional standards for the R1 zone, and the civil plans submitted by the applicant show compliance with all of these standards. I do want to mention that they have proposed pervious pavement for parking spaces and emergency turnaround, not the actual drive aisle, because we see higher traffic sort of in the drive aisle, so we wanted to kind of discourage it there, but they have proposed it elsewhere on the site to meet that 60% impervious surface maximum. Signs, I'm bringing these up because for conditional uses, Planning Commission does have the discretion to either approve signs right here, right now, or delegate that approval to planning staff, sort of trusting us that we would match it up to similar uses that are just in different zones. Because R1 signage allocation is very small, but because this is conditional use, we would probably allow a bit more signage if you sign off on that. We don't have, I would say, well, we have this elevation, but I would say we don't have sort of plan level details about every proposed sign they might have, but these are the two that I could pull from the plan submitted. And I would say they're pretty typical. You have a monument sign there, and then you also have, that is sort of the portico entrance. If you picture sort of a hotel entrance, how they have that overhang there with sort of those pillars there. So that's where that other sign would be. In terms of outdoor lighting standards, the plan conforms to lighting zone number 1, which is typical for residential zones. I'm going to give you a little bit of science here. Lighting studies are done projecting foot candles, and foot candles are actually the amount of light that reaches a surface. Our code regulates lighting by lumens, which is actually the light of, or the amount of visible light emitted. So we have a bit of a disconnect just in terminology here, but essentially 1 lumen per square foot of light shed equals 1 foot candle. So to give you an example, given here that the maximum for shielded fixtures in this LZ1 lighting zone is 2,600 lumens. If you had a 10-foot pole with a light on the top, and that light were to cover 100 square feet, shining down kind of in a square, then that would be 26 lumens on the ground. I know, some science for you, but all that to say, to point out that what we're mostly concerned about, right, is any overspill into the neighboring properties. And you can see here that overspill at its max would be 0.5 foot candles. So not even a full foot candle would be encroaching over any property lines. Access limitations. So they are requesting 1 full access driveway on Southeast 13th Avenue and 1 restricted right in, right out access driveway on South Ivy Street. Both these streets are arterials, and their spacing standards are 330 feet from intersections or other driveways. This is a corner lot with dimensions of 330 by 315. So pretty much anywhere an access is proposed would need an exception. Here are the specifics for that exception they are requesting here. Again, to orient you, Ivy Street on the west and 13th to the north here. There are existing driveways adjacent to this site, 10 feet and 110 feet south of the southern property line, and a local street access onto Large Street 60 feet east of the property line. The subject site is proposing their accesses 240 and 200 feet, respectively, from the intersection. So again, an exception would be required regardless of the access location due to existing factors. One thing that was analyzed in the traffic study sort of preliminarily was the vision clearance, and that has been showed to be expected to meet standards that will be verified in field during pre-construction. For site and design review standards, we have a design matrix in 1649 of our development code, and that is broken down in the staff report more thoroughly, but here we can just say that if the development proposal reaches a minimum of 60% of those total possible points from the matrix, and at least 10% of those points are from low impact development elements, then it's considered to be compatible. And as you can see here in this table, they've achieved 67% of total points, and 19 of those are LID. So we would consider this compatible in terms of site and design review. In terms of conditional uses, there are 4 primary approval criteria. The first is that it will be consistent with the policies of the comp plan, the development code, and other applicable titles. and their staff did not identify any policies in the comp plan or other policies and other documents that would be inconsistent with the proposed use. And again, the same conditional use has been approved in the R1 zone elsewhere in the city, as well as the R1.5. The characteristics of the site, this is B, the characteristics of the site are suitable for the proposed use considering size, shape, design, location, topography, existence of improvements, and natural features. As stated previously, this does meet the development standards of the base zone. It does include frontage improvements, and we did receive comments from utility providing agencies stating that the connections have to be made, but there are sufficient utilities adjacent to the site. Last two requirements for conditional uses are public facilities and services exist, so we addressed that here, and it's also reflected in the conditions of approval in the staff report. And the last one will not alter the character of the surrounding area in a manner which substantially limits or precludes the use of surrounding properties. The surrounding properties are all pretty much developed already. It's residential, it is swim center, and it is more senior care across Ivy Street. So in general, I would say that the character of the surrounding area is compatible with the proposed use. And especially considering this is a constrained remnant corner parcel that can't really expand south, east, pretty much anywhere else. The parcel is the parcel here. In terms of comments received during the public comment period, we received 4 public comments, and we also received plenty of agency and service provider comments. I'm going to sum them up here. I do really appreciate all of the public comments we got. They were really informed, respectful, brought up great points, and I'm happy to discuss them. So most of the comments were around community compatibility, right? Anything besides houses, adjacent to houses, folks want to know that they're not going to be infringed upon. So the first thing we can talk about is setbacks. The proposed setbacks actually exceed the requirements for the R1 zone. Even the independent duplex footprints show that they exceed that setback required there. I think that it's going to be about 20 feet, if I remember correctly, when they would only be required to be 7. So they are definitely giving some consideration to the neighbors to the east there. Lighting, again, meets the residential lighting standards. The building height meets the requirement for the R1 zone. We don't have elevations for the duplexes. I can't imagine they would be over 2 stories, so 35 feet is the maximum allowed there. We will evaluate that when they are ready to bring those forward in type 1 site plans. Fire safety, we did receive comments from CFD. A hydrant is required on Southeast 13th Avenue, and there is an emergency access clearance and turnaround on the east side of the site. And the parking is based on the analysis provided by the applicant and their industry experience. There was a comment about private business competition. That is not a criteria that planning or planning commission is allowed to consider. That's outside the scope of our land use review here. In terms of agency and service provider comments, again, just a summary here. We didn't receive any that were sort of out of left field or surprising. So utilities are available. Public improvements, again, to both frontages are required and shown on the civil plans. And then they also have to meet everyone else's codes in addition to ours, essentially. And that is, again, reflected in the conditions of approval. And based on all of that, staff do recommend that the Planning Commission approve applications DR 25-03 and CUP 25-02, subject to the 48 conditions of approval included in the staff report. And that's it from me.
Okay, Brianna, we appreciate that. Now we will go into Planning Commissioner's questions for staff. We'll start with Judy. Go ahead.
Thank you, Brianna. Excellent presentation. Graphics are wonderful. I'm very visual, so thank you. I have, I probably should have looked this up, but I forgot. How are the SDCs calculated for a development like this versus a housing development? Is it different?
I'm sure there's a different. There may be a different ITE code, but it is sort of the same formulas.
Like per square footage type?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
thank you. And then my other question is your slide 17, you don't have to go to that, but it showed the access and the roads and the access. Do we know how the fire department plans to access? Will they come down 13 and turn left into the facility off 13?
They could turn left or right, depending, but given they're coming from the north, it
Yeah.
would, yeah. So
Okay.
yes, 13th full access, yeah.
All right, and do we know for the traffic study, any facility like this, I'm not picking on this particular one, but any facility like this generates additional emergency traffic volume? Was that taken in consideration, something out of the norm for emergency traffic volume for this situation, do we know, in the traffic study?
That's an interesting question, and I don't think the specific way you phrased that, no.
I
But
didn't see it.
it was specific to the use. So insofar in that, if that specific use has those considerations built in to their use category, I can't say for sure.
Okay.
But I can say it was specific to the use of senior care.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
That's it for me.
You're next.
Hi, I've got a handful of questions about the, I'll start with the traffic study. So when they did their assessment, are they just doing it based on the conditions, or did they actually get usage data to incorporate it, like actual real data to incorporate into their study?
They use the background growth number. So
they didn't actually like set up anything
Go
and see
out
what
and
the
count
actual
trips?
traffic
No, I
was?
don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
Because what they found is contrary to what we see and hear from the community about the difficulty of, say, taking a turn at that intersection from any direction, and just how much that backs up at different times of the day. Definitely around the school, getting in and out.
Sure.
Whenever there's buses, whenever there's just peak times of travel for people going to work and coming out. So I was a little disappointed that that didn't seem to be reflecting recently collected data in real time. Okay, so the biggest questions I had that I can put out there right now before we hear from the applicant is with regard to the design review matrix. So the number of parking spaces provided, I saw the number 58 showing up, and I know they're going to get into it a little bit more. 54 is what actually shows up in the plans.
Okay.
Are we at a point now that we can address that difference, or is that something that we should let them address as part of the proposal?
I say let's let them clarify.
Okay, and the biggest reason I want to know about that is because it ties into the possible points for the matrix.
Sure.
The access portion of the matrix, the distance of access to the nearest intersection, it has the option of less than 70 feet, 71 to 100, or greater than 100. If this were a typical R1 application, those distances would make sense. The requirement from the arterial intersection of 13th and Ivy is 330 feet in either direction. Why did we give them 2 points instead of calling it not applicable?
I think because this is a conditional use and all conditional uses are subject to that matrix.
We did elect to consider other items not applicable because of its use.
I think we were just going on the standard explained in there, but your point is valid.
Okay. Also, when we are in the section of building appearance, we gave them 4 points for the provision of public art, as in murals, statues, fountains, or decorative bike racks. I didn't see anything that I would personally consider art. They have a very fancy flagpole, but as much as I enjoy a good flag, to me that isn't art. So I'm curious about the full 4-point designation for that particular item. Is there something that I'm overlooking in regards to their artistic contribution?
I would say, save for the fact they haven't provided details about bike parking facilities that may give them that extra point, I would tend to agree with you.
Okay, yeah, because on a scale of 0 to 4, 4 seemed excessively generous in my estimation. The low-impact development, use of pervious paving materials, percentage of total paved area. So as part of your presentation, you called out that the max pervious paved area is 60%. On the design review matrix, we've awarded them 4 points for more than 75%. Which is
impervious?
in excess, yes, impervious.
Thank you.
And which is in excess of the allowable amount. So it seems like they would have been maxed out at 3 points, the 51 to 75% range.
So they're proposing 60% impervious surface.
Impervious.
Yes.
So pervious is 40%.
Yes.
Then.
And that includes the pervious pavement.
So the use of pervious paving total would be what percentage?
I think it's between, I want to say about 19.
19, okay. Well, then that would have them in the 2-point range and not the 4-point range that we awarded them for more than 75% pervious. Disconnecting downspouts from the city stormwater facilities. I saw multiple references to tying into city drainage. So they have some on-site collection to minimize it, but everywhere throughout the plans, they're tying back into the sewer system, which to me says you are not fully disconnected from city stormwater if you are planning to tie into it. So and this could again be something for the applicant, but am I misunderstanding the intention to retain 100% of the stormwater on site versus having it flow into the city drainage as indicated in multiple places?
I took them at their word that the storm drainage facility on site behind the duplex units was going to be able to deal with the total capacity of on-site stormwater.
Okay, so the tying into the city system would be just for backup?
That is something that we can definitely verify at pre-construction too. I'm not a public works person, but that is something that we could definitely double check.
Okay. Yeah. Those are my big ones for now, but for the things that you conceded might have been overly generous in points, that gets us down under the threshold to meet the minimum criteria. So just wanted to.
What's the new total?
Let me double check. Sorry, I've got them all highlighted. So the number of parking spaces, if we don't have number of parking spaces provided less than 120%, 101 to 120, or 100%. So we'd have to do the math on it. I think
I'll add it up if you give me the number.
I think that one might be just one from that item. Distance to the nearest intersection, I'd strike 2 for that because it's nowhere near it.
Pardon, would you say it's non-applicable?
And not applicable, so it just wouldn't be
So
part
we
of the
just
total.
wouldn't count those, yeah.
Provision of public art, if we want to be really generous, thinking they might come up with some fancy bike racks, then maybe we would go down to 2 from 4. But even at that, might be a little on the generous side, but just to be fair too. Use of pervious paving materials, if we were looking at 19, we would lose 2 more points there. Disconnecting downspouts from city stormwater facilities, I'd say that that's, all downspouts disconnected is what they have right now. Some might be more applicable if we're not retaining it all 100% on site. So 1 point for that, which is a total of, I believe, 8 points. 8 points.
Yes.
So that takes us down to 38 points.
I would want to, for the storm drainage, actually check back in the conditions of approval. Our engineer gave us a lot of great specific conditions that may answer that question for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good?
Yeah, for now.
For now?
Yeah, thank you.
I think that the design of I like the design of the building. So as far as the artwork piece of it, I do think it's a handsome-looking building with its entry, so I would give it some credence there.
It did get all of its design points in all the other categories, though, so.
But I don't have, I'm interested to hear more about the parking, and I'm interested to hear more about the entry points from Ivy and 13th. But otherwise, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions for staff. So I'm curious, and this is either related or not related. This was approved before for basically the same type of facility.
Yes.
And it just, poof, went away. Do we know why?
I do know that fire access was one thing that was not addressed previously that we have definitely addressed this time. I would say that's the biggest thing that was under kind of my purview. I can't speak to what happened on the private side at all.
Right.
You know, it's been a tough few years, so I'm assuming that had something to do with it. But fire access, I would say, would be the number one.
But it was approved or denied?
It was approved.
It was approved.
It was
And
approved.
just to add to that, so we have a year-long approval process, and they exceeded that and expired, and fire came back with conditions post that, which they've now met for internal circulation on the site, which they put more pavement down, et cetera, for internal circulation. So that was the major design change that's been made, but absolutely did go through the hearing process, was previously approved, and this is largely the same product that's being proposed tonight.
Same facility, same number of beds.
Okay, so I'm a little curious. Now, were you guys in discussions with the fire department?
During this review? Yes,
in the planning
100%.
meetings?
Mark Johnston.
So talk to me a little bit. I'm looking at the plan here. On the back side of the building, they have a loading zone. And the loading zone is just prior to the fire truck turnaround.
On the other side of the access.
Right.
Yep.
So was there any discussion at all if they get a truck in there and the truck is unloaded and the fire truck has got to get in there?
CFD didn't bring up any concerns specific to that.
Okay,
They were sent the plan that showed that loading zone.
yes,
I'm assuming their turning radius, perhaps, you know, if you're imagining sort of that 3-point turn, they're turning south of the loading zone. They wouldn't be directly entering the loading zone.
okay.
Yeah,
If there's a truck in there, the fire truck's not going to be able to turn around. Okay,
understood. No
So-
specific comment was
right,
given
okay, so there was no discussion about that.
about the loading zone.
The other question I have is, in your course of conversation of this right turn only coming out onto 13th. Okay?
Ivy.
It's the right turn only is Ivy.
You can only go right into it and right out onto it.
So
So you have to be heading north on Ivy to get into it on Ivy.
Right.
You have to be taking a.
but the
right
one on
turn.
13th,
Full access.
that's going to be a full access?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With the school there and everything, and I get it, the whole traffic, I mean, we have traffic studies and then we have reality, okay? And we've been doing this for as long as Canby has been in existence and as long as there's been traffic studies, okay? And we all know that we have traffic studies and then we have reality. And we all know that we have schools and we have school buses and we have traffic and we have soccer days and we have. My question is if we have full access on that on that driveway going in and out
On 13th arriving.
on 13th, how is 13th going to work? I mean, you're going to queue clear up into the intersection if somebody is trying to get in or out of that driveway. If we've got school buses and that, I mean,
It's the only place you can turn left, and it's 200 feet from that intersection.
so
I will
guess-
say that they are also doing a 10-foot right-of-way dedication, so that space will be widened.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it just doesn't,
I would add, this is a low-volume peak hour timeframe. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the traffic issues. I think if we go back to the numbers and look at those, this is a relatively low volume. This is a facility that essentially the workers are basically that's the generation of the traffic that's going to happen on the site. You know, I
But
mean,
by their
you
own
got-
numbers,
Yeah.
and not using DKS,
Yeah.
they're going to have 38 people who are coming in and out of shift in the 2 to 3 window, which is
I-
indirect competition.
Yeah,
But I get what you're saying. I mean, it's, the standard, though, that we've received back from DKS is the level of service B. It's not close to failure. I want to be clear about that.
but
Okay.
it's only going to take one delivery truck trying to turn in there at the wrong time. It's going to cause a major problem. And I just, so, my question to you is, staff, I'm not trying to ask you to solve the problem. I'm just saying, how much discussion did we have about that? A lot? A little?
I would say a lot.
You'd say a lot.
I would say a lot, and I would also.
And in your mind, it all works.
I can see it operationally working on a day-to-day basis, yes. I will also say this is a constrained remnant corner parcel. Anything proposed there, we're going to be seeing accesses closer than we really want them, right? We can't deny access to a parcel because they're in that situation that already exists. I think they've made every effort to address it that they can.
Okay. So we have that. We talked about that. And then the other question I had is, did we talk at all about when the duplexes, I'm assuming the duplexes are going to happen in the second phase?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and did they talk at all about when that might happen?
They did not.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that with the applicant. And then, did we talk at all about, and I'm not going to ask that question. Let's see, what else? I want to know too, is the entrance, it doesn't show anywhere on this, how close is the entrance that goes on Ivy? How close is that entrance and exit to the Hope Village entrance and exit?
Across.
Is it right straight across?
I don't have that figure, I'm not
No,
sure.
it's not.
It's not?
Quite a ways down.
Is it quite a ways? Okay, I couldn't, I didn't, I just had that question in my head.
Good question.
Okay, that's all I've got. Are you done? You're all finished?
I'm done.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Anything else? Commissioners?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Applicant, you're up.
Oh, you're turning me right, thank you. All right. Good evening, commissioners and planning staff. I am Danelle Eisenhart, Eisenhart Consulting. I'm a land use planner by trade.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Sorry.
Turn that mic up a little bit or something.
Do I have to push on it?
No, it just needs to be adjusted.
They take care of it there.
There we
You
go.
can hear me,
That's much
okay.
better.
Sorry. Danelle Eisenhart Consulting, land use planner by trade, and I am the applicant representative. And I'm here with the team. Eddie can introduce himself in a second. And we have our civil engineer on Zoom if we have questions for civil. So I just want to say thank you to staff and Brianna for writing a wonderful staff report. And again, yes, this is a re-review. So the application was once, it was approved in the past. It expired, just time got away. It's only a year. So here we are again, and we did take care of the fire access because that was something that came up in the last review at the end. So with the new staff report, the applicant team is pretty good with the proposed conditions of approval, the only one being the sanitary being public. We designed it as private, and I can show that on the slides here in a minute. So it would be a little longer and a bigger pipe, so a little more of an expense for the applicant. Otherwise, we're pretty good with that. And we've been talking with staff about potential options there. So, Eddie, you want to introduce yourself, and then we can try to address some of these questions that you had. I didn't have a formal presentation because Brianna was going to cover most of it, but we'll just jump into responding to you.
Good evening. My name is Eddie Rodolescu. I'm with EPR Design and Northwest Architecture and Design. We're a design build firm. I just wanted to answer some of the questions that came up specifically regarding the design. One thing regarding the points for our design, we do have to incorporate 20 bicycle parking spaces on the site. That equates to about roughly 10 bike racks. So one of the design elements we were planning to do is have a more artistic, more designed bike rack than a standard hoop design. We don't have specific details on that yet, but the space for them is allocated on the site plan. We just don't have the exact design for them. One of the other things we were planning to do, and I don't know if these specifically qualify, but we do have a couple of gazebos planned on the site as part of a decorative element and also a useful element. Another thing we've designed into our site design is the front plaza area in this rendering where the person and the flagpole is. We will have some benches built in there. It does come directly off the corner of the sidewalk where the intersection is. And that'll be a really nice plaza area at the corner intersection. With regards to the questions on the storm water, I guess you could say disposal and harvesting, I think our civil engineer is on, but I do know, and he can probably better address this, but we do have several stormwater detention facilities spread out throughout the site. Two along the front that are sort of more of depressed rain gardens that will have plantings in them. Yep. Those also frame our plaza area. And then we do have the more traditional style light up planters that you've probably seen around, one back there and one to the south. These don't tie into City Storm other than for overflow, and that would be, I believe it's called like the 50-year flood event or something like that. Our engineer can better speak to those. As far as the fire truck turnarounds, we do actually have two of them on site that meet the fire truck turnaround dimensions. One of them is directly off the entrance of 13th. There's this one that's across, that the pointer's on. That's across from our delivery parking space. we're not expecting, and the owner's operator's not expecting a large semi-truck style delivery vehicle here. It's a box van.
This is it?
Yes, for food and groceries. That's it right there with the pointer. And other goods that need supplied at the building. Those also can be scheduled deliveries. The other fire truck turnaround is directly off the access off 13th. Those radiuses all meet fire truck turnaround dimensions, so they could pull in and go, that's if they make a right. So they say they turn in off 13th and make a right, they could park there or even go further down towards the intersection to the west. Our entrance cover there is has a height that clears ambulance and fire truck vehicles, so they could park underneath that as well. Yes, right there. So there is that fire truck turnaround directly north of the loading space, and then there's also the fire truck turnaround space that's to the southeast there. And then as far as having this come back in after once being approved, one of the main reasons this surpassed the one-year time frame is during the building permit design process. We did do a lot of design and redesign with the civil engineer regarding these accesses, working together with our civil engineer and engineering staff. This was determined to be the best use and best circulation for the site regarding right turn in, right turn out on Ivy, and then the full right and left turn in off 13th. I think that was all the questions in case, or unless there's more we can answer.
Can the fire trucks come in and out on Ivy?
No.
Oh, sorry. Apologies.
That was it.
Do you want me to answer that?
Finish your presentation.
Oh, okay. No, we're finished. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, that was my read.
Okay, so I have a couple questions about fire, but how many, I'm not talking about your facility, just in general, facilities like this generate a lot of emergency calls, fire calls, maybe a fall assist or something. How many per year will your facility create for our town?
I wouldn't know that number off the
Okay.
top of my head. I guess it also depends on the level of occupancy and vacancies at any given time of the year, so I wouldn't have an exact
Do we know
number for
the
that.
type of occupancy that this facility will expect?
So the occupancy type will be 22 beds will be memory care, and the other 80 beds will be assisted living.
Yeah, I saw that. What percentage of occupancy, though? I mean, is it 80% full, 100% full?
That's probably something more for the operator to answer.
Okay.
I'm not aware of that number, but there always is some level of vacancy. I don't think they're full.
Do we know an average for a facility like this, what it might be on average?
I probably would say 5 to 10%.
Okay. So I looked at some numbers, just did some research in general, and I'm not picking on your facility, just in general. Facilities with this size, with this number of people who are getting assisted living, it generates between 190 and 500 additional fire department calls per year. And again, that's not picking on you, and that's just standard research numbers. And so for our town, are you familiar with how the volume of our town's fire service today? No.
No.
That might have been some good research to look at, because one of the things I'm just going to say as a planning commissioner, when we're evaluating businesses coming to our town, we like to be very business friendly, but we also expect the businesses to kind of, I don't know, look into things and, you know, what positive impacts will this have on our town, which of course there are many, but what are the other impacts that may not be so positive? So I'm a little disappointed that we haven't looked at that. So anyway, our annual call volume for medical calls for our fire department is 2,800. So if we're going to increase that by 190 to 500, that's a 15 to 18% increase of burden on our fire department. We have a wonderful fire department. I don't think there's anybody in our town that would say we don't. And when there's a levy or something to be voted on, they're very highly supported. But that's a pretty big burden for a town like ours. The other question, I should know the answer. I should have just called them, but I believe anytime there's a fire call and like a help assist call or something, the EMT truck has to go and the engine has to go in our town. That's correct. So that's 2 vehicles going into that parking lot, a big engine and an EMT for every call, which again, mostly are like fall assists or something. So that's why I asked Don about the SDCs, and I don't know to what extent the SDCs support our fire department outside of levies and things like that, but if they're having the same SDC level burden as do homes, I was looking at this, so that based on the square footage of your facility, that would be equivalent to about 22 homes in a new development, and that's a very low burden of SDC, given the burden that is added to our town. Again, all the benefits too. I don't deny that. It's something that towns like ours need, but it seems like it's not equitable because it's adding a lot of burden for fire versus what a normal development would add. And it's, maybe these aren't things we can talk about tonight, but we'll have more developments like this in the future. And so I guess I'd like to see us have more analysis. If the developers aren't going to bring it to the table, which again, I'm a little disappointed that didn't happen, then we need to bring it to the table. Let's see, what else did I have? Yeah, okay, that's good enough for me. Thank you.
Okie dokie. I've got a couple questions about fire as well. So sorry about blurting it out earlier. Are fire trucks going to be able to come in on Ivy if they were heading north and would be able to take that right-hand turn into the facility? Or is that too tight for a fire apparatus? Because they're long. I think they're 20 some odd feet long.
Could I interject here? I mean, I think the questioning is great. We do know that, Canby Fire has looked at this plan and they've agreed with it. They are the experts on that. I don't mind the questioning, but we're not going to be able to answer fire questions in those levels of detail tonight.
Okay, well, questions that fire raised that I think you can answer is the size of the elevators. They recommended 6 by 8 so that somebody could be in the elevator with a gurney. Are the elevators in the plan 6 by 8 and not 6 by 7s? Because I didn't see it.
They're actually larger than that as well.
Larger than that, fantastic. And is there a 67-inch turnaround in the bathrooms? One of the assessments thought that it was only 60.
Yes, the building will be designed, actually is designed to meet the current handicap accessibility code with the 67-inch turning radius in the bathrooms. Every single bathroom in the facility is handicap accessible. All the doors, corridors, everything for resident and staff use.
Okay. With the discussions of the access options on 13th, was there discussion about making 13th a designated in and out as well? And if it was discarded as not a good plan, was that because of the input from fire? So 13th could potentially be, you can only come in heading east and you can only leave heading east. But I'm sure fire would have something to say about it one way or the other. But I'm just curious if that was a discussion point at some.
I believe our original discussions, if I remember correctly, and Brianna might remember this too, is that originally there was going to be no access off Ivy Street. And I believe the right turn in, right turn out was the alternative to that in order to have any access there.
Yeah.
And that full access was always intended from 13th.
Okay. But with a full, a free in and out.
Correct.
Yeah. Let me see. I had a bit of a question about the foliage. So when we're looking at the drainage area on the east side between the duplexes and the the neighboring plots, and also between the south end of the area and the plots. When we're actually looking at the foliage proposed, there are two different types of trees, a prospector elm on the south side and fastigiata pyramidal European hornbeams on the east side. The elms are going to be, when they're grown, 20 to 25 foot wide and 40 to 50 foot tall. The hornbeams would be 20 to 30 foot wide and 40 to 60 feet in height, rarely 80. And they're parked right up within feet of the barrier between the other homes. So it doesn't seem like the plants, like, as a neighbor, I could imagine not seeing the facility would be your preference, so bigger trees are nice, but it doesn't seem like the trees proposed have enough space where they're being proposed, and that these are going to be very, very large trees, very, very close to buildings, which is a fire hazard on top of a hassle. Somebody had mentioned in one of the comments just about egress, and if the trees could be impacting that. I know that the houses that are in the development on 13th, a lot of those houses, they have very shallow backyards. So if you've got a tree that's encroaching 10 feet into your property, that may or may not be welcome. So they just seemed very large and very close. And I wasn't sure what the selection criteria was.
I'm not the landscape architect, so I don't know the answer to that. For why the species. This is preliminary, though, the landscaping plan, and it can morph as we go through the building permit phase. But something that's not on here is there will be a 6-foot tall fence along the property line. So it's the
sure, but I mean, if there's a 6-foot tall fence, and then like the
big trees,
the tree is going to be 30 feet around, and the trunk is 2 feet in from your 6-foot fence. That's quite a distance into the neighboring properties.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's preliminary, and we may need to move some trees because there's probably not room between the fence and this planter.
Definitely
potentially, so they need to be a different species potentially just to get them to fit. And then while we have this slide here, these are landscape planters, the two long things, infiltration planters, and they are designed to the 100-year flood storm event. So.
Okay. Let me see if I got anything else on my list, and I will turn the mic over to my counterparts. And the fire hydrant was recommended to be on the east side of the 13th entrance, but right now we're looking at it on the west side. Is that cemented in the plan, or is that still?
The location's not cemented, but can you go to slide 4? Sorry, I'm not able to move them. It likely will be either here or over here. We'll work with buyer on where to put that.
Okie dokie, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Thank you.
I did note there were two emergency visits today on that pulse point that showed at Ivy that I recognized. But so that is a bit of a concern with the increase of that. So you're saying that we don't think fire trucks can go in and out of Ivy. Is that correct?
Correct. I don't think that turning radius works for a truck. I don't believe that's how it was designed. So,
can I just clarification?
Yeah, go for it.
We do have a condition of approval that requires CFD sign off on that access point. Whether they ultimately request it be designed to allow them access or not is going to be up to CFD, but there is a condition of approval currently in the staff report that does give them the option to request that if they need it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a condition to rework this design. This was just an idea, because there was not something in their manual here in the city to design the right in, right out. So it could be mountable, it could be whatever fire decides if they want it. Yeah.
I'm struggling a bit with what that will look like on 13th, as I'm looking at like Google Map. Has that been drawn out, like what that in and out is going to look like?
There is a detail in the civil plan set. I'm not sure if the applicant included it in there.
No, I didn't.
PowerPoint. No.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't.
didn't put the
see that.
details in, because.
Yeah. So we could open the attachments if you'd like. It would take a second. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see it. I'm struggling with seeing it because it's starting the turn lane. Yes. The left turn lane from 13th onto Ivy is right where, I just am struggling to see that.
Yeah, bear with us for a second.
Thanks.
They're looking at 13th.
Okay, good.
Yeah, 13th.
This one?
I think they were concerned where I don't know if we know where the turn lane is, the left turn lane.
Yeah, I didn't see it myself, and I'm having technical getting my
We can see that.
attachments open and closed here.
I think, what page is this? Sheet number C4. And we will go ahead and share it in just one second. I want to make sure that's the best. Yeah. Page C4.
Do you see the striping?
This is the center line.
Yeah. Which is page 7 of the PDF. There we go. Okay. Thanks. We might have to, we can zoom it in. Enhance.
It's texting me.
I don't know if I can do that. There we go. So there's the entrance there. And here's the existing edge of pavement. So again, that 10-foot right of way. So. There we go.
I wonder if Brian could share his screen.
I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of, so what you're seeing here in this hatched area is the existing edge of pavement and the new pavement being added. I don't, and then this is
That's the
a
sewer.
connection to the sewers, a new pavement where we cut into the pavement. So I don't know that you're really seeing the turn lane here, so I don't know what you're looking for.
Turn
Yeah.
lanes and whatnot.
Yeah, I was looking at like, what does it look like?
What does the street look like?
Yeah. Because right now, in front of that entryway, it's a solid line where traffic can't go in. Like, I just want to know what that part looks like, right in front of it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be restriped probably to allow, it would have a left turn pocket, probably. Does Brian have access to share his screen?
So he just needs to unmute himself.
Yeah, he just needs to unmute himself. Brian, there he is.
Has to share.
If you want to share, you can just request to share, Brian, if you'd like.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. I was just going to clarify that the driveway location, the striping doesn't show
We
on
need a
plan,
name.
like
I need to know who he is and where
Oh,
he's
yeah.
at.
Sorry. Brian Dickerson with Langen Engineering, formerly Navix Engineering. So I'm the civil engineer on this project.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the driveway, if the question is where the driveway lines up relative to the striping in the roadway, it would line up roughly where the middle of that median is now. So in between where it tapers and where the actual left turn lane begins. The current plan is not to restripe that. It would be to remain. It does leave you a little bit of a pocket to pull out if you're going left before you actually enter the left turn lane. And that's how it was originally approved, and we did not propose to change that.
Do we have a bike lane there? What? Do we have a bike lane there?
No.
Sorry, I'll turn on my mic. So I was having trouble hearing that. So we're going to have a 10-foot buffer between the driveway and the road?
Did you say
Would it be okay if I shared my screen, or
Yes.
is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yeah.
I was just going to share an aerial view,
Here,
if that's all
Google
right.
Street View.
Yeah, just looking at Google Street View. That's helpful.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I'm
visual.
looking at.
We'll shove Matt out of the way.
Did you say, Brian, that it's not, there's no plan for any restriping?
Correct. Right. So if you can see my screen, I've drawn the dimension here. It's about 260 feet from this existing edge of curb on Ivy to where the center of our driveway would be. So in this aerial, it would roughly line up with this dirt area that's shown now. So there is a bike lane currently that runs along the frontage.
Yeah.
It's basically just goes to the edge of pavement. And when we, part of our frontage improvements will be to widen the pavement from that existing edge about 10 feet into the site, or towards the site. There'd be a curb and sidewalk along the frontage. I think there's a 10-foot right-of-way dedication, and then the project, property starts beyond that. So at this driveway location, what I was saying is it would essentially be in between where it widens out for this median, it's a short median, but before you have the left turn lane portion. So there would be a potential for like one car to pull out, have a little bit of a gap here before fully merging into the
When it's not backed up.
westbound.
Does that answer your question, Leah?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to see something different there, though. I would like to see something in the striping, and I don't know, I just feel like there's a solid yellow line there, and you're asking people to cross that, to cross into, I just don't, it doesn't have, like if you have a center lane with two arrows going, you know that you can do that. This a little bit, I would like to see something different there. But that was my only question.
Sorry.
Okay. Brian, while we've got you on, can you bring that picture back, please, that you just had up there, the street overview? So, and I'm including you guys in this also. So what you're asking is where the zero is on there we go. My eyes don't move that fast. Where the zero is, there is the center of our new driveway, I'm assuming, is that correct? And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be a left and right turn coming out of our new project. And the left turn is going to be turning into what is going to be the left turn lane going into our light. And so if someone is going to be turning left coming out of the project and they're going to be wanting to turn right or going straight on 13th, they're going to have to somehow make an immediate lane change to get onto 13th to make a straight ahead or a right turn. Am I correct there? Is that correct? Okay.
There's a little,
Yeah.
there's a little space to sit here,
Okay.
and I will say, I did park here, and I did pull
So it
here
looks like
and was
they
able to
have-
get out, so.
If the queuing is, let's just say 1, 2, 3, let's just say 5 cars.
Sure.
They've got about 100 feet to approximately, I'm going to say, we're just talking approximates here. Brian, you kind of chime in and correct me if I'm wrong. They've got about 100 feet in the turn lane, hoping that no one else is trying to get into that turn lane to turn left at our light there to get into the right lane. So we have that, if somebody's going to be turning.
Yeah, Brian, could we see the measurement from where your 0 point is now to the midpoint of the entrance?
Perfect. I like that. Brian, we're going to put you on permanent. Okay.
Can you move the left side from in front of the first car to behind the third car in the image, which is about 5 car lengths back?
Excellent.
There you go.
Okay.
So it's about 100 feet.
So we've got, about 100 feet. See, I wasn't that far off.
No, you're great. He had the measuring tools. I figured
There
we'd
you
put him to
go.
use.
So we got about, okay, so that's pretty tight there. So our queuing is going to be about, it's going to be tight right there. So somebody's going to come out of the facility and they're going to have to get over quickly, hoping that no one else is trying to get into that lane there.
Yeah, they kind of have to be able to take a left-hand turn when there's not many cars queued up there, because it frequently queues up beyond the existing turn lane, that
Or they
white line
can-
designation.
They can take Ivy.
Yeah.
They can go out the Ivy exit, too.
Yeah, if they're going to be heading
Yeah.
north, yeah. If they need to be heading south, where they need to get onto
yeah,
13th and
yeah.
go south on Ivy,
There you
your
go.
only option is to take a left.
Yeah.
Or to take a right and go way down and turn around somewhere where there's no great places to turn around on
And this
13th.
is also given that school isn't just getting out, and the school buses aren't stacked up there.
That was my concern with their shift change happening at 2, because then you have people, the shift change, I think actually is at 2:30. So you have people coming in and leaving primarily between 2 and 3, which is right when school
Okay.
is getting out.
All right. And, okay. All right. That's a very helpful picture there. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so moving along to other questions. I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. So my other questions are, in looking at your plans here, so following along with Judy's question of the amount of calls that come in, so what is your proposal for when you have your fire trucks and ambulances, when they respond to a call, and whether they use the Ivy Street entrance or the 13th Street entrance, where do you expect them to
Turn around to
enter the
leave.
facility? What's your preferred entrance to the facility?
So when discussing this with the fire department, their preferred method of entry is through 13th.
No. You're misunderstanding my question. Their preferred entrance to the building.
It would be the main entrance
To the front doors?
through the front doors, or there's also right directly across from the fire truck turnaround. There are entrances direct to the memory care area, right there, the other one in the middle, and then one directly across on the west side. So they require knock boxes at all main entrance doors, and those are the 3 main entrance doors getting into the building. The main entrance for public use is the one that points to the intersection right there at the corner. So they can enter the memory care unit through a separate entrance. That's a secured area of the facility for the residents. And most likely, if they're responding to the memory care unit, they would probably use those doors. I believe that's one of the reasons they wanted a fire truck turnaround all the way to the south of the site, is because if they pulled all the way down that driveway, they wouldn't have to make such a long reverse maneuver to get to the north turnaround.
Okay, so I know facilities like this usually have ingresses and egresses to the building that they're lower impact to the residents that they like to have, so that they don't have such an impact on the residents. So I guess my question is that given that, I have to say I'm quite concerned about this loading dock and where the fire trucks come in and that's a congested area back there. And having been involved with facilities like this before, there's many times that you get 1, 2, even 3 of your box trucks or short trailer trucks that are at that loading dock at any given time. And being the high call rate of places that this type of a place generates, that can get really, really congested. And I'm just really, really concerned about that back alley, if you would. And then this whole thing with the duplexes back here, and you have those people will be driving their own cars, and you've got them maneuvering with trucks and whatnot. I'm just curious the thought process of that. And then I'm also curious the thought process of the duplexes and that type of care offering with what you're offering in the building with the RCF and the dementia and the assisted living. I mean, that kind of falls under one type of care, and then the duplexes fall under pretty much a different type of care. It's a separate type of care, and I kind of see us trying to put a lot of different kinds of care on this one lot, and we're trying to approve here. And my question is how soon do you plan on moving forward with those duplexes? And what's that going to look like? I'm real apprehensive about those duplexes going in. I think our community can really use the assisted living RCF and the dementia care. I'm behind that, but that duplex component of that's starting to crowd that lot quite a bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe the intent of those was to offer a living situation for somebody who is not, they're at the point where they want to live in a community like this, but they can still do things on their own. Eventually, they will move into the main building as they age or need help with daily things. So the intention of those was to offer that sort of living unit and eventually transition into a higher care level.
Yeah, and I understand step care. I get that. Step care works if you've got room to do it.
I don't think
I'm just
there's
not
room,
really sure
yeah.
you got room to do it here. So I'm a little concerned about that. I'm concerned about the traffic. I'm concerned about the driveways. I'm just thinking we're putting too much on a postage stamp type of a situation here. And so I'm concerned about that. And I think we would be solving some situations with the neighbors too if we had that component out of there and maybe turn that building a little bit on that lot. And
So you can go all the way around it?
and you could get all the way around it. That would help with the fire component and the emergency access of it. Maybe move the entrances and exits a little bit. And, yeah, so I'm just, yeah. So anyway, also, there's another thing in here I didn't see is emergency power, standby power. Did I see anything for that? If Canby is kind of got a little problem with that right now, if somebody pulls the plug on us, are we going to have a bunch of 122 some older folks without any power here?
Or stranded on the second floor and they can't take the stairs.
Yeah.
No, there will be emergency backup power here.
Okay, I didn't see that anywhere in the plan here, so.
It's there near the, it's not specifically called out, but
Okay.
By the loading space to the left of that,
Okay.
there's that alcove there that's also access to our main mechanical, electrical, and yes, and kitchen areas.
Okay.
That'll be our location for our pad-mounted generators.
Be a really, really good idea. It can be right now. I think that is, I got a few other things, but I think pretty much that answered just about everything I got. Judy, you got anything else?
No, thank you.
Ms. Driscoll, anything?
I'm just with you with the access points. Like if the doors that they need to get into, one's just beyond the loading dock, and the turnaround's all the way down there. If the turnaround were more midway between 13th and where it's at now, that would be less distances of going backwards from any given direction. And if you can't get in with a truck to the Ivy Street entrance, then basically that one's kind of off the table. So you've got the main entrance for the regular assisted living, and then you've got past the loading dock for memory care. And whoever is in those duplexes, should they be built, are going to, be seeing on average between 200 and 500 visits a year. Then about half that time, they'd have flashing lights just wailing outside their windows, which is kind of depressing and concerning in its own way. So that wouldn't really be all that nice for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure they run code on those trips. I don't think, they don't where I live in Arizona anyway. They certainly don't.
They've got all the lights on. Like I've recently spent a couple weeks in an assisted living or a skilled nursing facility with my mom, and it's a different state, but yeah, they've got the lights going. So they don't have the sirens,
No, they don't.
but they've got the lights going. And so if you're near enough to see the lights, you see the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have anything to add. I'm done. Yeah.
Anything else? Okay. You got anything else you'd like to talk to the commissioners about?
Brian, do you want to cover that turnaround a little more, or no?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay.
I can do that. You're talking about for the site
Just
access?
with with how it works with the loading zone.
Yeah.
Do you want?
I can share my screen maybe.
Can we
That's
turn
easier.
him up a little bit? I'm having a difficult time hearing.
I can speak louder, if that helps.
We wouldn't say no.
I can share my screen again if that's easiest. I can point
Yeah,
to it.
I think that'll be easier. Thank you.
So let's see. I'm gonna hit this twice. Okay, hopefully you can see that.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple things on the loading area. So in this part of the site, the loading area is essentially this striped area off to the side of the main drive aisle. So there's ability for loading trucks to enter this and pull out of the actual drive aisle for the loading. The actual emergency turnaround area is, let's see, this provides some dimensions for that. So the 70 feet by 70 feet is the Canby Fire and Clackamas County turnaround dimensions. So if a truck needed to get in, if for some chance there was a loading truck sitting out on the side, a fire truck can still get around on this side, or if they're already down here, they can back into this turnaround area and pull out.
How wide is that strip? 26 feet?
The main drive aisle is 26 feet, yeah. I believe this is actually,
Could a fire truck get around
I
another
don't have
truck
that
in the road?
dimension. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, you think a fire truck could get around another truck that was actually in that 26-foot walkway?
Yeah, I mean, a fire truck is roughly 8 feet wide, right? I mean, it fits in a
18?
traffic.
Yeah, 9 feet at max, yeah,
9 feet?
I would agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one piece. We did design the right in, right out to accommodate fire truck movements in and out.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we coordinated a lot of this with Canby Fire already. And like Danelle pointed out earlier, there is, all the turning radius on these curbs is wide enough and big enough radius for fire trucks to be able to get in, whether they come straight in and need to back up and use a turnaround and pull out, or if they come in this way, they can get around, they can actually make this corner all the way around. They may have to swing out a little bit through here. If they come in from the south on Ivy, they could come in and actually pull all the way into that and then potentially back out and then turn out again. So, I mean, some of those are,
But if they come in off of Ivy, can they kind of take a left and head towards the main entrance? Or do they have to
Yes.
stay right there? They can't go to the main
no,
entrance?
so they can come in here and then go like that. So,
Beautiful.
Can I add? If they come in off of Ivy from the south, they're not, they'd have to be on another call already because
Yeah.
there's no,
Otherwise
the
they
other
wouldn't.
station that's down there can't respond to these calls. The Canby Markham station cannot respond to these.
Sure.
So they're not
Just
going to
giving
come from,
hypotheticals in terms of, where they might enter, right?
unless they're on already.
And I don't know that this is our solution, but I'm just curious, could the 13th Avenue entrance be made a right in, right out as well, space-wise?
I think if you have both of them a right in, right out, it makes it pretty restrictive in terms of people being able to get to where they need to go or enter, depending, you gotta know which way to come into the site and which way you're entering to maybe go a certain direction. So that does
Well,
cause
the only
some
thing it really
constraints
changes
that
is
way.
not taking a left onto 13th, right?
It would also
you'd
prohibit
have to go around to
anybody,
13th.
anybody coming on
I
13th
understand,
being able
yeah.
to turn in this way. If you had this right in, right out.
Okay, no, you're right, sorry about that.
Okay.
And it came up before, but it looks like there's a minimum of 58 parking spaces required, and we've got 54 on the plans.
There is a minimum requirement of 58. We have 70 total, counting the duplex parking. So there's 54 in the parking lot and another 16 with the duplexes hitting the 70.
The math on some of it, taking the duplexes out, had a 58. I can dig for it. That's all I've got for now. I'll look for where I got that 58 from.
Right.
Page 6 of the staff report has the parking matrix provided by the applicant. I think one point of confusion, and this doesn't tally with, we're missing kind of 4 spaces we're counting, but visitors, there's no code standard for that, but they assigned 5 as required, and that factors into their total of 58. I'm not sure where the specifically 4 space question is addressed here, but.
We'd have to look.
No, I think adding the 16 from the independent senior duplexes addresses it. If for some reason there were not independent senior duplexes, then we would have 54 and 58 needed for memory care. Is that a correct statement?
Per code standard, I did calculate it separately, so on page 7 of 30, per code standard, we require 1 space per 2 beds for residents. So I wouldn't say that's the most accurate summation, given none of the residents will be driving. But per that standard, and if we're considering 1 shift coming and 1 shift going and giving that an overlap of employees, then 89 spaces would be required.
Really? Okay, because of the facility residents having that 51.
Because of the residents,
So
correct.
if we're disregarding that, and we're just talking staff with the 38 for overlap, outside providers at 7, and visitors,
So it would
5
be-
seems awfully sad and restrictive, but,
It'd be 89 minus 51. Plus 1 space per employee. I confused myself. So what did I say, 89, 51 plus 38, 76 per standard, not including beds.
so by that standard, you'd be saying it's 76, but we're saying with the 70, including in the duplexes,
The
which is
duplex
actually
units.
like a different thing than because it's like we're not counting care facility if we call the independent duplex as part of it, but if the duplexes weren't part of it, then we would start counting the care facility threshold again.
Per our standard. I think that standard needs to be looked at personally, considering residents don't drive. And considering shift overlap, I want to make sure.
Yeah,
we're
and usually there's like administrators there during the day that aren't there at other times, and I would hope that for 120 some odd bed place that you'd have more than 5 visitors at any given time. It'd be nice to give them that flexibility. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Anybody have anything else for the applicant? Applicant have anything else for us?
Not at the moment.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being patient with us.
Thank you.
Okay, now we go to the opponents and the proponents. And let's see how are we going to do this? We have got 2 folks that are going to speak. And I am going to just go with number 1. And this is also the part in the evening where I get to butcher your last names. So I'm going to take that leeway. The first one that is going to get to speak, let's see. The first one that's going to speak is Aaron Sprando. And that is Aaron right there. Come on down.
She's a proponent?
And she is going to speak. She is not in favor of the project. And she's speaking in behalf of Marquise Companies. Very
Thank you.
good. All right.
Thank you, Council, for letting me speak today. I'm Erin Sprando. I'm Director of Operations for Marquis Companies, and we operate Hope Village Assisted Living and Memory Care on Ivy Street. And I just wanted to bring up a few logistical things that I noticed in the staff report, which is part of the reason why we oppose this. It was brought up earlier that some of the numbers were because of the operator's experience in this industry, but she's operated foster homes of 5 people. This is a scale of 100 residents. Very different operation. Marquis Hope Village has 80 assisted living residents and 22 memory care. So the exact same size. The staffing number is good at 38, but I wanted to talk about the visitors per day and the parking. So on average, Hope Village has 25 visitors to the assisted living a day and 8 to the memory care. At any given time, the vast majority between 8 and 6. So you're talking about a number of parking spots that 54 would not be adequate when you're adding in your residents, your visitors, and your staff. We have 4 residents that have cars on site at Hope Village who do drive in the assisted living, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that you may have some more independent folks. You also have the average age of our residents in their 80s, so a lot of their family members are in their 60s, maybe even 70s, so trying to find parking all the way around the back of the facility, coming in the front of the facility, that creates quite a burden on those residents and families. The other thing I would say is that our average parking right now, 75 per day. I had our staff go out and count. So if you wanted to look at perhaps actual numbers, those are the ones, not 5 visitors a day. You brought up the calls to EMS every day. I would tell you on average, taking out the nursing facility, because I know we have that too, we have 1 to 2 calls per day to EMS. So just as a number, that is an actual viable number. And I understand that feasibility is not part of the Planning Commission's area of approval, but this is a big project, and it's something to consider because this land is being used for an assisted living. What if it doesn't work? What if it fails? Then what do you do with it? So that's all I have.
Okay.
Are we allowed to ask
Don't go
questions?
away.
Can we ask questions?
Go
Do you
ahead.
have one?
No.
Judy?
I was just curious, do you have any numbers on the frequency of calls from the nursing side of things?
Yeah, the nursing facility average is probably 2 to 3 a day if you look through the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, higher acuity for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next one is going to be from Craig. Is that correct?
If you can read it.
Is it Carpenter?
Yes.
Okay, wow. 100%. And Craig is going to talk to us about traffic.
Well, I know it's been rehashed a lot, but nobody's really mentioned the side streets. I live on 13th Place, not far from Larch, and making a left-hand turn now is ridiculous. I don't, with the schools and the activities and stuff in the morning, I don't have anything against the kids using the facilities across the street from us. That's paramount. But when I can't leave my own development, it's kind of tough. You can't make a left-hand turn a lot of times. This morning I waited probably 15 minutes just to make a left-hand turn with the way the lights, so on and so forth. My biggest concern is that people will become impatient and not want to go through that intersection at 13th and Ivy. They're going to make a left-hand turn onto Larch and zip through our neighborhood in order to get back to 16th Place and avoid all that mess. Well, we have a lot of children. We have a lot of old people like myself, and it's a concern. We tried to have a traffic survey done a couple of years ago on Larch just for that reason. People use it as a freeway, FedEx, Amazon, and then just regular residents. There's no stop signs. We have a lot of kids. That's a big concern for us. Especially having that driveway so close to Larch, and then when you get kids having their activities and everybody parks along 13th, you can't tell if it's ridiculous. The other concern I had was with the parking spaces. You guys have all shopped at Safeway or Cuts First, and you see how people park neatly in between lines. These people who drive dualies and extended cabs, do they remain in the lines all the time? Not everybody parks the way they're supposed to park. I don't know if that's enough spaces or not enough spaces, but it's it's an interesting dilemma, especially on a shift change where one person doesn't go out, another person go right into that spot. It seems like there's a whole lot of assumptions that are made as far as, the parking and so on and so forth. I do notice in Canby that getting through an intersection, yellow means go faster. And that's becoming a problem. How are the police going to monitor the extra activity at 13th and Ivy? It's already a cluster in my mind, but anyway. And I could go on and on, but I mean we did have a traffic survey done, and they actually brought equipment out to monitor it, but they did it during the summer, and anyway, that's all I have to say.
Well, anybody got any questions for Mr. Carpenter?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I should put on my mic. I know that you can park on 13th between Larch and Lupine and kind of further down. Is it restricted closer to the intersection with 13th and Ivy?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
The on-street parking on 13th,
Yes.
is it restricted closer to Ivy, or do you know how far down?
Well, it goes
towards the
down to
intersection?
that first house.
Okay.
If you make a left, there's that house on the corner. You can park down to almost to where the new driveway will come in.
Yep, basically like where all the
Yeah, so
development
there's
is,
like
you can
two
park
cars
on
that
both
can
sides
park
of the
there.
street there, and the property that we're talking about
then the other-
currently is not.
Yes, then the other way is all the way up. And again, that's for the kids and their activities. I don't have a problem with that stuff. But if it's an everyday type thing, which it could be, especially on weekends, people don't want to park in the parking lot, they park on our street, and anyway, angry homeowner, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Can I go? Okay.
Okay, that is all I've got on the public testimony.
No. The applicant gets a chance to respond to.
I know, that's all we've got on the public testimony. Applicant, rebuttal?
So first I want to say, my name is Petronella Donovan. I am the applicant, one of the owners of the facility. Chair and commissioners, and staff, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. There was a couple of things that I wanted to say on behalf of this. There was a comment made that I only do 5-bed facilities. That is wrong. I've had bigger facilities. I've been doing this kind of work for over 30 years. And one thing that I think needs to be noted, that there is a need for this kind of a facility. And for Oregon, we're one of the 11 states that in the next 10 to 15 years, we are going to double our senior population. We are going to have, 65 and older, more than 18-year-olds and younger. There's definitely a need, and I know the governor is a very proponent of what we do as well. That was one of the comments that I wanted to make. Also, I wanted to say the Hope Village, we love them very much. We've worked with them on several occasions. It's not really apples to apples when it comes to the facility, what they offer there and what we're going to offer. They have a rehab facility, and in the rehab facilities, there's more traffic than what we're going to have in our facility. I want to make sure that is noted. They have, a lot of the times they're full in their facility, and I get their residents in Oregon City. They come, please say you have a vacancy for us. And so I wanted to mark that as well. And I want this to be a very great collaboration between the both of us. This is not a competition. The service is needed. So I think that's all I had. I think everything else was pretty much covered. I don't know if there's any questions for me.
Any questions from?
And one thing that came up to me, we just passed the expiration date. That's what happened. It wasn't really nothing bigger than that as far as why we didn't, the first time when it was, approved. And so, but I'm glad we came to SecTech because the lot actually has improved. And I'm glad the new engineer that we have on board did quite a few engineering plans that were not there in the first plan, and is actually better, for us, for the residents, and for the city.
Yeah, and on that, the fire department and the city traffic engineer has approved the different access points. They've looked at this, and it has been more detailed than the first round. So there's been a lot of work there. Brian's saying that we could park 6 cars along 13th with the widened area. If that's something the city wanted, there could be 6 more cars there. It may not be allowed, I don't know. I think that's it for us, unless you have more questions.
Questions, Judy? No?
I guess I'd be a little curious, the size of the facilities that you are working with now, like what do they average?
So I had a 30-bed memory care that I've had, that we built that one in, I think 2016, I want to say.
Okay.
Yes, so that, and then I have several of the smaller ones as well.
Okay, and did you do assisted living as well, just for curiosity's sake?
Well, I have assisted living in my current one, yes.
Okay, great, thank you very much.
Leah? I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Chair Ewert, I just wanted to add into the discussion here. Trying to read the room a bit tonight, and I would like to offer the opportunity for the applicant to continue the hearing to May 11th. I'm just giving them the opportunity to do that instead of going forward, seeing these things happen before where there's a lot of questions, and I may not go where the applicant wants it to go.
Okay. Very good. So I am going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and we will go to commissioners' deliberation. What we have before us is 2 options. We will either have a discussion on what we have before us, which I think we should go ahead and discuss it, and as to what we have before us here tonight. And then I would say we could either go ahead and vote on it, or we could continue it, if you so desire, to, May 11th, and give the applicant time to possibly rework the plan and bring it back to us in a form that possibly would be better for the community. So let's start out with discussing what we have before us.
Chair Ewert.
Yes.
Just a point of reference here in this kind of procedural practices. If the applicant asks for a continuance, and I know we just closed it, and I'm sorry but if they ask for that, we have to grant that. So just
are they asking for it?
I was hoping that they would they'd have the ability to come up and speak on whether they wanted to do that or not. So I was hoping to maybe reopen this to allow them to have that opportunity to ask that.
You would like for me to give them that opportunity?
I would,
before we go to discussion?
Yes, I would, please.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that. Then what I am going to do is I am going to, I'm going to poll the commissioners on that. That would constitute my reopening the public hearing and asking the applicant if they would like to have a continuance. And we're just gonna leave it at that. Judy?
Yeah, I think to allow for,
This would be just reopening the public hearing and offering the applicant to go for a continuance.
I agree with that.
I agree with it, and I'd like planning to address the point scoring as well for the matrix.
Okay.
I would agree with that, yes.
Personally, I would not agree with that, but I am outvoted 3-1. So I'm going to reopen the public hearing, and at this time, I would ask the applicant if they would like to have the opportunity to have a continuance.
I would actually.
I tell you what we're going to do is we're going to take a 5-minute break, and I'm going to call a recess for 5 minutes, and we will re-adjourn at 5 minutes after, what is it? 8 o'clock. We will have 8:05. We will reconvene. We will have a recess. 8:05, we'll reconvene. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have taken our recess. We are back in session, and we are at a point where we are going to consider an extension if the applicant is interested in doing that. And it looks like our date is going to be June 8th.
Not May 11th?
Not May 11th. It's going to be June 8th. We've got a lot of conflicts. Is that going to be able to work for you? It's either going to be June 8th or tonight.
Sure. We don't have a choice.
Okay.
June 8th it is.
So
we are asking for a continuance, by the way.
I'm sorry, what?
Formally, we are asking for the continuance. So, there
Okay,
you go.
so the continuance has been asked for by the applicant. That means that they're we're going to waive the we in jeopardy the 120-day rule. We're good with that. We're all fine. Okay, good. So what we need to do is we need to have a motion from one of our planning commissioners and a second that the continuance to the June, this be moved to the June 8th meeting.
I have a procedural question, if I may,
Yes,
planning.
ma'am.
Okay, so in offering this continuance until June 8th, does that give our applicants an opportunity to make any revisions or changes to submit?
We would, as staff, we took copious notes. I have an entire page of notes. I think Brianna does as well. We would work with the applicant, and again, we would ask them for them to come back prepared to address those items that were extensively discussed tonight. And that would be something we would work together with them on for that purpose. So that would cover all the points that we discussed tonight.
Logistically, we would publish the packet for the June 8th meeting on May 29th. I will be out of town on the 29th, so I will need assistance in posting the packet,
Sure,
but I will be here on the 8th. So ideally, from the applicant, we would have revised materials by the 18th, giving us a week lead time to write a revised staff report.
May 18th, yeah.
May 18th, materials back from applicant.
Okay, and then we would just republish a new packet of everything that was currently relevant?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it would include what we have in our hands now. It would include the discussion that we've had this evening and any new information that the applicant and staff would produce from those two meetings. Yes.
Just in thinking of the packet, is it acceptable to reference back to this meeting for the original staff report?
Okay.
So we're not confusing two
Yeah.
staff reports in the same post.
Whatever's going to give us the clearest
Okay.
delineation of what's applicable now, because
Yes.
when things change, that's when it gets muddy and confusing. So
Yes.
it's just like, this is everything now.
Got it.
Okay, now,
appreciate that.
as far as the public is concerned,
Yes.
very important that everyone that signed in tonight is going to get the same notification and
The
information.
notification right now that we're saying this is continued to a date certain of June 8th
Right,
is their notification.
okay? And the packet that we will receive will be available to them at the same time at the Planning Commission, so I just want to make that clear. Same process as before. When it's available to us, it will be available to you.
It'll be publicly
And
posted
it'll
on
be
the city
publicly
website.
posted. You can get it at the planning department, and if you want to read all the information, it'll be available to you, okay?
May 29th.
So everybody's on the same page, and the continuance. Now, what we need is a motion on the continuance.
I move to continue DR 2503 and CUP 2502 to a date certain of June 8th.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I hear no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I stand in opposition, so it passes 3-1. You have your continuance. We will see you on June the 8th. Thank you for your time. And public, thank you for your time. I know this was absolutely exciting. Come back for more on June the 8th.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have that. And let's see where we're at. So we move that to a continuation. Items of interest, report from planning staff. Dawn, I will turn it over to you.
I will keep my comments short, just a few items. This is another opportunity, if you all are interested in continuing urban growth boundary and urban growth boundary concept planning. We have a project advisory committee and technical advisory committee meeting on May 13th at 6 p.m. That'll be in the Willamette room on the first floor here. So you're welcome to attend and listen in on that. There's going to be a kind of an intensification as we move forward on the urban growth boundary process. There will be a community meeting, a listening session with those that are out, that live in the urban growth boundary area, outside the urban growth boundary, and there'll be a number of opportunities for folks to understand what's going on, and a city council work session as well. That's coming up over the summer, leading into adoption in the fall. That's our adoption. It's going to go through the planning commission. It's going to go through city council. It's going to go through the county planning commission. It's going to go through the county board of county commissioners. It all has to go through all these processes for that boundary, urban growth boundary expansion to occur. So that's on the horizon. We're working on that. That's one of our main focus points right now as staff on that. What was the date? May 13th. So the project advisory committee, technical advisory committee, May 13th, 6 p.m. Willamette room. And that's been already sent out to the project advisory committee, technical advisory committee. There is a Zoom link as well. If you're interested, if you aren't available, we can absolutely get you the Zoom link. Just, give me your 6 p.m., 6 to 8. So that's kind of the main item. For May 11th, since that, we didn't know where the hearing was going to go tonight, but since that was not approved, we don't have really anything on May 11th, so that will be a cancellation on May 11th, and we'll see you on June 8th. We'll have there'll be another engagement as well, probably in August, July, August with the Planning Commission. This is on the urban growth boundary. We'll have a work session with you all as well. So that's all kind of coming on the horizon. The code update, the code audit was authorized, the budget for the code audit was authorized by council, and that's matched up with Department of Land Conservation and Development monies as well. That's going to start in May. It's going to run about a year. Ryan Potter's going to lead that up. So that's another thing that we're going to be working on as well. And those are the main updates for tonight.
Is the May 25th meeting canceled because it's Labor Day?
Because of Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I always get them mixed up. Thank you.
Otherwise we probably would have been on the 25th with the extension, but yeah.
Get a day off.
I know we get the day off, but if it's Memorial or Labor Day, in my mind, they're one and the same. I always mix them up.
Our next meeting is June.
June 8th, so that'll be the next meeting. It'll be a continuation of this item here, and we'll have some more meeting minutes as well, and we may have some more to share on the urban growth boundary stuff as well. So that's it, unless you have questions. Walnut Street is full blast, Dan, full blast.
I had my shovel out. Anything else for planning staff?
I don't think so. Thanks, guys.
I can't believe how many people are calling me personally and saying, Judy, what's that big, giant building going up? on Malino. Oh, you haven't been there in a while, probably, yeah, okay. You'll get a call. I feel kind of bad for the applicants tonight because I think they could have done a much better job with bringing this to us. And my perspective is if I'm willing to do the homework about number of calls and all this, they should do the same amount of homework. And granted, I think we all agree we need these facilities, but I was very disappointed by their materials. Anyway.
And I would say that on that side, not to go back and rehash anything, but we will put together our notes together, and I have some ideas about kind of guiding that process, so those questions are answered more specifically.
Thank you. And do we already have, or perhaps it's something in the works, like I know there's the drought-resistant plants, and we've got these landscaping plans, but then if I just kind of pick random things and dig into them, I'm like, why would we put that there? Frequently. And so like, are they getting guidance from us or from somewhere with regards to like what kind of things can be within X amount of space of, parcel boundaries or other homes or fences or whatever, because it seems to be
and we probably, as part of our code update, and this is probably Ryan's strength here, but like this is more about having more definition in our code as we update it. I've seen other codes that are very, very specific about plant sizes, species, and spacing. We don't have a lot in our code. I mean, just we have the percentage, unless I'm off on that. I think that's kind of all we've got is, so it needs to be covered with either ground covers or plants, but we don't really get into the species or drought tolerance and those kinds of things.
So, I mean, it's one of our criteria in the matrix is that, X amount is drought tolerant plants. So like, do we just take their word for it?
Well, they typically have a landscape architect, and so that stamp or their certification really, we can believe that because they have a certification in that. I mean, so there is there's evidence there.
It's being certified by an outside party and we're taking their word for it. It's not the applicant's
I think they would have problems with their license if they put the, if they were forging the wrong plants in there, just, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that was it. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Okay.
Anybody else have anything for staff? Then I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? We are adjourned for this evening, folks. Thank you for sticking with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.